either the Kroll or for your other carry. And that was another issue that I think Cloud9 had in this game, was there was no one. Once Tricky dove onto Old School, there was no way to help it.
Certainly the case. Well, the draft is underway once again. Cloud9 removing Grace from the board. Idris taken away. Dynasty going to grab themselves a Catherine, and it's a Glaive for Cloud9.
Yeah, that's a really nice pickup by both sides. Glaive and Catherine are just extremely strong, either as a captain, but Glaive, they can flex into a weapon carry. He's been much more popular in this meta, but Catherine also has been extremely strong because of the Echo and No Way buff. So I think Adagio will probably be taken opposite Adagio. Glaive would be a very strong combo. Here, Cloud9 will most likely take away a carry that they don't want to play against, or maybe ban Scarf. But they're going to go ahead and ban Baptiste, actually, because they have Cath, right?
Yeah, reasonable ban, I think, coming on into that one. Especially when I think Cloud9 was one of the teams that managed to get that in the Vainglory and just sweep a game with it. Dynasty now looking towards their second pick. Where are you likely to go with the Catherine first pick? Because I feel like that's a very wide open lock-in.
Yeah, it's usually a fairly aggressive pick. And so I would expect them to try and pick something that can also engage with the Catherine. You know, you want to be able to take advantage of those blast tremors coming out of that big team-wide silence. So something with a little bit of AoE as well.
Like Crow is really good right now. Catherine and Crow will be very strong. They actually played Crow, Celeste, and Lance on B side, and they did extremely well against their opponents, Mouse Sports, yesterday. So I think Dynasty, Crow looks really, oh, Koshka is going to be picked up. Wow. They're changing things up. Like I said, this is only EU's chance, is like changing things up in the draft and pulling things up. And Riku Meza actually has a very solid Koshka from this season.
Yeah, and he's going up against, you know, one of the, we were just talking about it a couple of minutes ago. I Love Joseph is known for how good he is at Koshka, but that also means he knows exactly how to play around it. I'm curious to see what his pick will be coming into this one.
Yeah, they're going to pick up Lance here because Lance with the Weapon Glaive can handle a Koshka. And with Gabe Bizzo on Lance, he just can carry so hard on it. And then with that, they're going to pick, they're going to actually go double weapon, it looks like, potentially. We'll see.
Yeah, it could either be double weapon. They could go for, you know, something that's a little bit similar to the utility glaive we used to see, because again, Echo is so efficient now, and get Echo on a glaive, you can get 2 to 3, maybe even 4 afterburns in a single team fight. It can be extremely effective, so that is an option for them. But the Vox, again, we know, we talked about it before the first game, how familiar Old School is with this Vox. By far his most played hero.
Now, for this final pick for Dynasty, we already have a CP lock-in for them in the Koshka. What do you anticipate seeing here? Are we going to see something like the weapon power Blackfeather in the lane? Because that's something that we've seen quite a lot of in Europe.
Yeah, they played. They played Blackfeather actually when they're on A side. So Blackfeather could come on here. He has the Rose offensive. He can dodge Lance and Glaive. But however, Vox is really good to Blackfeather. Vox beats Blackfeather really hard in the late game. So if Old School scales in the late game, it's going to be a really tough game for Blackfeather. And he doesn't scale early, so he can't rotate. So Ringo will probably be a better pick, honestly, because he can't rotate with Koshka and force an early game jungle aggression.
The big concern about a Ringo pick is that Ringo is extremely susceptible to Glaive and Lance coming up from the jungle and just shutting him down early and often. That's what we used to see all the time when Ringo was meta, would be those Glaive ganks coming in and just making a massive impact, but they're going to take the risk and go for it.
And like I said, because think about it, they have Koshka, Cath, Ringo. They have to pick an early game aggressive comp to do this.
And we've got Ringo versus Glaive. There's a special t-shirt here at the venue for Ringo versus Glaive. Glaive's the one that took his arm in the first place. This is going to be one heck of a matchup. Talk to me about the win conditions of these two teams, gentlemen. How do we turn this into a 2-0 for Dynasty, or how does Cloud9 even things up?
Koshka needs to snowball, and they need to win it from there. If Glaive gets to late game, then Glaive weapon is going to be outplay and outscale with Vox against Dynasty.
It's kind of like game one, but the other way around.
Exactly.
A little bit, but at the same time, Cloud9 can also win this by just going into the lane constantly and just shut Tricky down and never let him have an impact.
All right, we've got to get on into this game. It's time to pass it back up to our casters for game number 2.
Thank you once again, Munchables. I would not have predicted that Dynasty would be up one game going into game 2. Can they do it again here?
Definitely have the option to do so. We've seen what they can do now, and maybe C9 needed a game to adjust. Remember, a lot of what we talked about when it came to Dynasty was that North American teams didn't have them on their radar, didn't really consider them, didn't really research them. Now C9 have seen it. Let's see how it goes.
Well, early on, C9 looking to apply pressure as we would have expected. Mowgli scouting it out, looking to contest his mid here. Can he get it? Yes, he can. He'll get stunned up for his troubles, but a very early win here for Dynasty.
Absolutely tricky, pushing this lane in, looking to try and punish. I do like that C9 are rotating to lane. Something that Ringo classically is not very good against is that Lance. He's very susceptible to the impales in the early game. You can very much snowball off that, try and put pressure onto Tricky here.
Well,
So
Tricky's going to be just fine here as long as he doesn't actually get impaled. At this point, Gabe Bizzle's showing his positioning. Oftentimes, this is when you come out of that brush where it can be really dangerous. Joseph moving up, booting in, afterburn's back, and this is a dead Ringo. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, he's just going to move back, drop some taunts of his own, goes down, first blood to C9.
Going over to Gabe Bizzle, though, didn't necessarily need to give that over to Gabe. That could have gone to any one of the carries. You don't want to shovel too much gold onto Gabe in the early game, but it will allow them to accelerate towards an early fountain here. And very useful to have that fountain a little bit earlier, because again, this will be a very lane-focused game, I feel, coming out from C9. I think they'll want to avoid dueling the Koshka in the early game as much as possible. They don't want to let her snowball, so why give her the opportunity? EU are very known for not being super aggressive in the jungle, even when opportunities present themselves to do so. So if C9 bring this focus to the lane, really put pressure onto Tricky, who, in my opinion, was the main carry behind the sort of the Dynasty win in the last game.
Right.
Rikameza was fantastic. He's a rising star of the European scene. And just as I say that, they are looking for an opportunity here. But
I mean, Rikameza was doing incredibly well.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can apply the pressure here on the Koshka. I mean, when the Koshka pick came out, you were very happy about it.
Oh yeah, Rikameza's got a great Koshka. Again, I think Rikameza is one of these sort of understated junglers. You know, his rookie split in the VGA. He's already at a unified Western Live Championship. He's an incredible talent for the European scene, and he's proven it in that last game. We praised his sort of creative use of the Scarf's Dragon's Breath to just clear waves, to buy time for Dynasty. Not many other players would sort of play it that way. I think he did a really good job there. DG, again, just trying to keep Tricky safe. And I think I like that from Mowgli, just bring a lot of pressure down.
Mowgli, that was his first stack on that passive there for his Catherine. Rikameza getting afterburn back, but there's two here. Rikameza, he should be able to use that move speed to get himself out of harm's way, but he's really playing with fire here.
He is. He's being super aggressive. I kind of like that. Or maybe overstepping a little bit.
Old School dropping down. The impale catches him just on the edge there. Rikameza getting out. Mowgli looks like he's going to sacrifice his life here, and it looks like this is the smart play.
Yeah, that was the best way to do it. They didn't want to bring too much. Rikameza coming aggressive again. I think he needs to be careful here.
What's he trying to achieve here?
I don't know what he's trying to achieve. Maybe just trying to buy time. Again, the more time that you distract C9 with, maybe the more time that Tricky has to feel safe in the lane. Maybe Rikameza was trying to draw C9 out of the lane to give Tricky the space to farm up, because he's already, you know...
He got the Elder Tree and Rikameza! I mean, when we talk about this guy being an up-and-coming star, it is for good reason. Now he moves in, he's going to get stunned up. The MPL catches him as well. Mowgli's there. He jumps to Old School and right back. Joseph almost dropping. Actually, he may. It's Mowgli. He moves in. Joseph juking back to the other side. He gets stunned up. Mowgli's going to go down. Joseph gets out of there. Oh, Mowgli will go down. Yes, he will. Right at the end. Old School getting the last hit. Now 4-0, 4 minutes in. Cloud9.
Similar story to the last game. Cloud9 had this kind of advantage going in previously. I'm not sure what Rikameza was trying to achieve there. Again, the only thing I can feel of it is that he's trying to be an aggressive jungler, trying to bring an aggressive style of play to the European jungle style. But that was a little bit too over-aggressive. You always have to have an outcome in mind when you make a play in Vainglory. I didn't really feel like he had an outcome in mind there by drawing pressure to him in the jungle.
Yeah.
Because he just basically baited Mowgli to die twice, which is not good for Dynasty.
The moment you see Old School drop down, you realize, okay, that's not the efficient play, right? If you're drawing the lands down, I think it makes a whole bunch of sense the way you had first described it. It's allowing Tricky to actually have a whole bunch of free time. He's farming pretty well at this point.
Again, Tricky on a carry like Ringo, he's going to strictly out-damage the Vox. Vox, at this point in time, is not a super high DPS carry. What Vox brings to the table is his sustain and his ability to kite. Ringo will always out-damage Vox in pure DPS. So maybe they're saying, well, Tricky was such an important factor in terms of our DPS in the early game last time, or DPS even in the mid to late game last time. Let's get him a safe laning phase. And even if Koshka starts to fall behind, we know that she spikes with an aftershock. We know that she's going to go to Broken Myth and then just go tanky. It doesn't matter as much if we get Koshka kind of on the same level, not strictly behind, but not quite snowballing. That's the only thing I can think that DG are trying to do here, because otherwise it doesn't make much sense, this sort of untapered aggression that they have.
Yeah, well, it looks like they definitely have a method to their madness. And at this point, I also want to point out Tricky's positioning has been really good. Not only are they drawing the lands down into the jungle, Tricky's hanging back and on the top side of the lane. So you can see where he's actually positioned. It's very hard to land an impale out of the brush onto him.
Let's praise Old School, though. His rotations out of lane have been swift and decisive, which has resulted in...
Impale lands, Old School's there, the afterburn. Tricky, you're in a bad place. Tricky down one more time.
That's what C9 needed to do. We talked about it quite frequently. The analyst desk said focus the lanes, to start to put Ringo behind. He's susceptible to the likes of Afterburn and the Impale early on. It is looking like it's going to be a double weapon power build coming out. It's going to be the tension bow here for I Love Joseph. We might see a bone saw for Old School later on into this game. Armor will be coming out in bounds, you feel, here for the Dynasty squad as soon as they can get their hands on it.
Do you like this double weapon build? I mean, sometimes we talk about the idea maybe the Glaive will go a different build, but there's a lot of burst here.
I think that's the key to the game. Rick is fine, you know, happy in the... Wait a second.
This could be a 3v3. Tricky moving down. He has his Sorrow Blade here. They're on to Old School. The nice block on the Yummy Catnip moving in. Riku Meza dropping low. The Fountain keeping him alive. Mowgli does not want to commit. You have the Crystal Sentry over there. Are they going to fight over this mid camp here for C9? A Hellfire Brew connects onto Old School. Tricky still at full health. It looks like that's actually, I didn't see, Old School got it. Riku Meza back in. They trade 1-for-1. Joseph dropping low. Joseph crits him down, finds the kill. They did not want to lose Tricky, but they did. Mowgli living on just a sliver of health.
He's going to back off. Gabriel's looking to hunt this one down. He's heading into the DG side jungle, but we'll just back off as the Crystal Sentry start to do some work. Joseph will get a forward camp for his troubles. But C9 still unable to capitalize on these skirmishes. It's something that the Dynasty have been doing is they've been drawing C9 into positions where they're fighting, but making it so that they've set the lane up so that it's hard to capitalize. It's hard to then go for Goldmine because of how equal these team fights end up being in terms of health output. So again, C9 are not getting something that they are famed for, which is this global objective focused gameplay in the early stages of the game. It's getting to 8 minutes again and there's still the first turret standing. This is not the classic C9 that we've seen throughout the course of the regular split here in North America.
Yeah, well, classic C9 could rear its head at any moment. And we heard Gabe Bizzle talking about how maybe they took a little bit of a break and then work hard coming into the championship. It could just take a moment for them to get on fire. Oh, an impale right into the crit! The afterburn! Can they find Mowgli as well? Mowgli didn't even have time to press his fountain. There it is. It still goes down. That was a self-fountain. He still dies. C9, Gabe Bizzle able to live, and the turret taking a whole bunch of damage. Riku Meza, no Dragon's Breath to defend this one.
I was about to say 8 minutes, no turret going down, but it looks like that could be the case. Riku Meza
stunned up, chopped down, 10-1.
There we go, 10-1. First turret of the game goes over to C9. Just as I was saying, it's 8 minutes and there's no turret going down. Business as usual does resume. The wave clear not quite as good here for Dynasty. They don't have the ability to stall as easily. I think they are disrespecting this double weapon power composition. It's specifically designed to burst Ringo, a low health carry that doesn't classically build a lot of defense in his kit. That's exactly what you're trying to get here as Cloud9. Root up this Ringo.
Two-man Githian. Gabe Bizzle landing these abilities over and over. Now Tricky looks like he's in a rough place. I Love Joseph had already used the afterburn, so he would just knock Tricky further away. Another impale landing onto Mowgli. Riku Meza, two-man Githian. Gabe Bizzle one more time landing these abilities. They're going to block off the blast hammer. Mowgli's trying to buy time, and he goes down. C9 feel like they're in complete control.
C9 have started to ramp this one up. They've been playing to exactly their win conditions in these team fights, put pressure on Tricky, but Dynasty have been all sorts out of position from the very early untapered aggression in the jungle to Tricky taking some interesting and aggressive moves to try and take a forward healing Treant when he didn't need to. Dynasty don't seem to be as focused as they were in the previous game. Has the excitement and the expectation of a win got to them? Are they sort of going to be frayed around the edges here?
I mean, coming into this, we knew that C9 one of the best teams in the world, so we expect this kind of performance out of them. Dynasty have shown that they can go toe-to-toe. I'm not surprised at the outcome thus far. I think one thing that we should keep in mind is that while this Ringo has been killed a few times, his farm's not that far behind. He's still going to have an impact as we get into the mid and late game, and he can still burst down any hero from C9 if he's able to lock onto them without being killed himself.
Yeah, he's going to get a reflex block soon, you feel. That's been one of the major issues for him in these team fights. It's been too easy to lock down with CC, and that's been really hurting his survival. The reflex block does come through, but item spikes are starting to open up for C9 here. Nearly at the Sorrow Blade for I Love Joseph. You've got the double item spike with the breaking point Sorrow Blade for Old School. A bit of a more older build on this Vox. Wait a second.
Moves in, they're split. Gabe Bizzle, he's going to find the impale. Yummy Cat and Frenzy blocked off. Tricky on the run. The Blast Trimmer connects, but they've already lost their carry. Now they look for more. Riku Meza, you are in a dangerous place, my friend. Doesn't have the movement speed. And impale onto Mowgli. Looks like they'll lose the Catherine. They definitely are going to lose the Kashka. Gabe Bizzle wants some. He gets some. That's an ace. And this is Cloud9, 14-1 at 10.5 minutes.
Destructive Cloud9 right there. Again, Tricky the primary focus. This is the point of this double weapon power composition. You burst the only realistic team fight threat, especially since Koshka didn't snowball, especially because let's have a look at the replay. So again, Tricky, a little bit over-aggressive with the positioning. C9 know exactly what they want to do. It's burst Tricky out. He is the primary target focus. Actually got a resonance bounce that takes him out at the very end there. And once Tricky's down, because the Koshka didn't snowball, she's not a significant threat in these team fights. She's not someone that you're going to be super worried about bursting your carry out because she just didn't snowball at all. So once Tricky's down, his team fight wins.
Oh, we're going to have another fight here. Yummy Cannon Princeton coming through. Block off one more time. Riku Meza, you are in the back.
Wait a second.
But they drop Joseph. Now they still have a 3 vs 2. They'll lose one. Tricky's there. Mowgli tried by him. He's got it. It's a bloodbath. Mowgli, can he stay alive? K-Fizzle's got to get this one. Scoundrel. Can Mowgli pull a hat trick here? I don't know if he can do it. Oh, K-Fizzle's got him. Another ace. Over a kill a minute since, I don't know, 8 minutes into this one. 17-3.
Gabe Vizzle's lance is definitely something to behold, and he has been playing at it incredibly. Those Scythian walls have been on point every single time, but there is hope for Dynasty. That was a 2 for 3 there, so it was almost an even trade in that fight. Tricky working towards what I assume is going to be a bone saw. I'd be surprised if it's a tension bow at this stage in the game, but the armor pierce will start to open up. Gabe Vizzle will have to be on point with these Atlas Pauldrons to shut Tricky down. Tricky will also have to be using his reflex block correctly. If he can position to avoid CC, using that reflex block to block the Atlas Pauldrons could be very influential in these fights.
Yeah, he's going to have to be able to block off. I mean, the CC has to be blocked, but the Atlas Pauldron also has to be blocked for him to have an impact.
Immense gold payout
It's going to be 208 gold each going over to C9, just building up on their net worth advantage.
Bone Saws come out now for Old School, which means if he is able to land at least a 3 or 4 basic attacks down onto Ringo, that coat of plates is going to get shredded, and Joseph will have the burst damage necessary to look to finish him off. The more and more armor the DG squad build up, the better and better it is for them, but they need the gold to do so. That's something that they're going to need to stall out for. And Riku Meza, again, like we said, he's not even hit that Broken Myth right now. He's gone for the Atlas Pauldrons. His damage output at this stage in the game is very, very low compared to where it should be.
I think, to that point as well, that Tricky also wants to have his boots active when they get into these fights, but he doesn't really have that extra gold to put into the damage that he needs as well. Mowgli dropped the blast hammer, it's blocked off. Wait for it, coming through. This is Mowgli trying to keep Riku Meza alive with the fountain. Can he keep him alive long enough? Old School kiting back. He's done a great job thus far. Riku Meza first to fall. They're going to trade it for Old School. Now looking for more. That's going to be the Ringo going down, and another ace piling up. C9 just a matter of time. Wow. They just dismantled, just picking Dynasty apart at this point.
Dynasty have got zero vision on the center of the map. They overextend past the midpoint. I don't know what they were thinking at the start. Obviously, Gabe Vizzle, the king of Crucibles, gets a great block in the blast hammer to start things off, but again, I just don't think Dynasty are in a position to make these kind of aggressive plays on the map. They are just too far behind. This is a stalling game for Dynasty right now. They need to get the armor behind them. They need to get Broken Myth on Riku Meza before they can even think about fighting. But Dynasty is still trying to fight with all of their sort of heart to keep themselves in this game.
I mean, they really are, and it's not like they're getting trolled out there. It's just C9 have the ability. They just jump right over the wall. They're like, okay, I mean, we're deep in into your jungle, but you still can't catch us here. We have mobility, we have the damage, we have the advantage.
So Tricky actually also used his Hellfire Brew in the middle of the fight, which makes him static during the animation and allowed him to get burst down quite quickly by Joseph. Tricky, again, maybe in the wrong position.
There's going to be a stun there on a Tricky. Tricky getting burst down. He uses his boots to reposition. Old School's there. You're not running away from this, Fox. No siree. Riku Meza, Mowgli, just they're completely split apart from Tricky. They can't do anything to save him in that position.
Night and day from the Dynasty that we saw in the last game right now, making awkward map movements, disrespecting vision control, disrespecting the engage potential of C9. They are just walking like lemmings into a death pit. And every time C9 are able to capitalize on it, again, it's just great play from C9 to be able to capitalize.
Oh, the Scythian wall, the impale. Can they find the kill? I mean, Gabe Vizzle, he's locking him down. They don't find the kill there. But you see, every single time that Gabe gets in position to land one of these CCs, he's landing not one, but 2 of them.
Oh, Gabe is just one of the best lancers in the world. I think we have to say that. You know, he's one of, if not the best lance in North America, he's contesting on the world stage for that title. Tricky now on the backside, he's in a good position. There's the first blast tremor. The echo has been pulled out.
Hellfire Brews channeled up, comes through, lands onto Old School. They're moving forward. Riku Meza wants to get onto Old School, but he gets burst down. Joseph is there. Tricky going to be rooted up. He's doing his best to trade damage right here, trying to stack up the breaking point, but they take him down. Old School maybe goes down. No, he will not. That's an ace for C9. 24-4. And it looks like, I mean, the death timers are actually not even that long at this point.
They're not even that long because we're only 15 minutes into the game, so C9 take the very safe option to go for the Kraken. Dynasty look like a team torn in these team fights. You can see that Tricky is trying to make maneuvers. Let's take a look at the replay. Look at what Tricky tries to do in these fights. The Blast Tremors are looking to set things up. It's a great second Crucible from Gabriel, knowing that the first Blast Tremor wasn't in a position to be capitalized on. But watch Tricky. He sees the damage done to Old School. He tries to ignore Glaive and Lance for the most part and work towards Old School to take him out. But you can't ignore a weapon power Glaive like that. You have to respect and kite back against him. You've got the Bone Saw. That's what you're designed to do. You can't run down Old School if Rikamez is already dead. It has to be a unified effort.
And it's one of the toughest positions to actually try to chase someone when you're playing against the Lance right against that wall there. And
this is not a build on the Ringo that runs people down and blows them up. This is a sustained damage kiting Ringo build using Twirling Silver and the movement speed to move backwards and build Bone Saw stacks very quickly. If you had the Critical Strike build with a Tornado Trigger, Tyrant's Monocle and whatever else, yes, I would say run at Old School and blow him up. But this is not a build designed to do that. Don't do it.
As well as upgrading your boots. I mean, he's sitting on tier 1 boots here. He has been, so I think very clear is the way you described it, is the way he's trying to play it out. But C9 not falling into the trap. A big Blast Tremor will come out. Hellfire Brew wound up as well. Dynasty have to take this fight here. C9 can apply a lot of pressure. They could definitely win this game if they play it right here.
C9 looking to push in. There we go.
Afterburn, Tricky. Afterburn back. He turns it. He's on the goes. Tricky started so far. He's got a couple breaking point stacks. Joseph in a bad place. Gabe Bizzle as well. Gabe still holding his fountain, trying to find the CC. But remember, the Kraken is still in the base of Dynasty. They can't chase forever. They will take Gabe Bizzle down. Joseph gets away. They're going to move back, take this Kraken down. But they are so close to losing this game. One more mistake, C9 will take this game.
And remember, they do have a Glaive, a weapon power Glaive to go up again nonetheless. He can look for a backdoor attempt. So Mowgli going to have to start spamming those scout traps on the map to make sure that DG do not get caught unawares. Do like that move that Tricky made there. He saw that the Hellfire Brew got some work done. He saw how low Old School was. He jumped straight in to burst him down. I think Gabe Bizzle might have been out of range of Fountain, which is why he didn't use it. It was going to be very close nonetheless. Once Old School went down, it was a cleanup duty for DG, but C9 will not be too sort of displeased with how that went.
I want you to talk about the War Treads on Tricky. What's up with this item? Why does he go this?
So there's two things why you'd go War Treads. Not only does it make you a little bit more tanky to survive the Glaive, but it also allows you to chase down Old School, a very mobile weapon power carry, or kite backwards if you need to against the likes of Gabe Bizzle and Old School on this Glaive. It's a very versatile item for the Ringo. It's going to allow him to do multiple things based on the situation. It seems like Tricky's primary goal seems to run down Old School, so this is going to help him do that, but if he ever needs to kite backwards, he'll also have that opportunity to do so.
I really like it, and also, I don't know if we can think about it this way, if Tricky's making the shot calls, if he can give the movement speed to his whole team to get into position when he says go, I think that makes a lot of sense as well.
Absolutely, he's the primary caller. He says, I'm using War Treads, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's run down Old School. And that seems to be where he's aiming for.
He doesn't have to wait for them to use their boots, he can just do it himself. Now, Tricky looking to find some damage. Gabe Bizzle moving forward, finds the stun. Tricky stunned up from the afterburn. The Yummy Cannon Frenzy lands onto Old School. It looks like C9 tried to change their focus, moving back. Gabe Bizzle locking down Tricky. The wait for it comes out. Riku Meza dropping low, but he's standing his ground. Avoids the impale. Riku Meza right back in onto Old School. Can Tricky find the damage? Mowgli looking for Old School. They've lost Riku Meza. And the 2 versus 3. Tricky still an incredibly dangerous hero at this point. Can the Ringo find the damage? 15 breaking point stacks. Stacks down. Joseph's gonna drop down.
He's going!
Now moving. It's just a matter of time. This is Gabe Bizzle just trying to buy as much time as possible. He moves down to the south side in the jungle. It looks like he's going to try and roll over the wall here, avoid a bit of damage. There's the roll. Tricky has the attack, and Crystal Sentry's there. Dynasty Gaming finding the ace, making the beginning of a comeback.
It's the beginning. It's a long road back to an equal playing field. Let's take a look again. It's all about Tricky. The War Treads were so important in this situation. It allowed him to get out to a very, very dangerous place that he was in. Gabe Bizzle waits. It's a great opportunity for Gabe Bizzle. Jumps in, lands that Githian wall. Very hard to reflex block, by the way. But the War Treads come in, and suddenly Rikameza is doing all of the work. Very, very good to get the Hellfire Brew off, but check out Tricky's positioning. Sidesteps the Impale. Suddenly he's on the right side of C9 because everybody is focusing Rikameza. He's built up breaking point stacks. He's very, very threatening, and everybody on C9 knows that they can't commit because they've used that gap closing, they've used their afterburns. Tricky positioned so well there. Unbelievably good positioning and mindfulness to know that all of the gap closing had been used by C9. He was safe, and the big breaking point stacks really carried him through.
It's really beautiful to watch what he's doing. It was 1 step forward, 2 steps steps back. Let's see. The stun is going to land onto Mowgli, but they move over. Riku Meza. Tricky is the target. Joseph dropping low. The impale. The afterburn. Tricky still alive. War Treads to reposition. Riku Meza dropping low. Old School is there with the Sonic Zoom. Able to find the kill. Tricky should go down. And this looks like it's going to be the end of Dynasty Gaming here in Game 2. As Cloud9 look to seal the deal. They will with a clean ace here at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, 29-9. C9 are going to tie this series up 1-1.
C9 finally found that primary objective of bursting the Ringo down, threatening him. If you can keep that threatening presence onto Tricky, make it so he can't make positional moves like he did in that last game, or that last fight even, it's going to be a lot easier for C9 to win these fights. They do so and level the series 1-1, but again, Dynasty showing a little bit of fire in their roster.
I'd say